Hi, my name is Goodman, and I'm the president of the Youth Congress of the World Affairs Council of Harrisburg. And I'm here with Mr. Ryan Keith, and he is the president of Forgotten Voices. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first I'd like to start off by asking you, what is Forgotten Voices, and what does it do in Africa or wherever you're located?
Sure. Forgotten Voices is a ministry that's equipping local churches in Zimbabwe and Zambia to meet the physical and spiritual needs of children orphaned by AIDS in their communities. So what we're doing is we're partnering with local churches to identify children in their area and then meeting the physical and spiritual needs that they have. So in some cases we're sending kids to school, starting farms, home-based care, medication, counseling, clinics, all kinds of things. And each project that we work with is a little different. And so we're really trying to equip people to do the things that they're dreaming about doing and just need our help.
Well, there are a lot of challenges in today's world. I mean, you got Libya and a lot of challenges in Africa. But what challenge is Forgotten Voices specifically trying to address?
Two things. One, we're trying to address the challenge of children orphaned by AIDS being lost in the cracks, lost in the shuffle, in the midst of a busy world that we live in. So children who, unknowingly, with no fault of their own, find themselves in very precarious situations. So that's one challenge we're trying to address, where we know who these kids are, we know where they're located, we know what they need, and they just need some help. So that's one challenge. And then the second challenge we're working with is we keep meeting people all over the United States who are looking to be part of something bigger than themselves and are looking to give back in some way and are looking for something of meaning and significance. And so that's a challenge that we're trying to answer by bridging those people who are looking for something of significance with kids who need a champion and trying to marry those two problems to make a solution.
And you said earlier tonight that you worked here in the Harrisburg area with poverty, and I'm sure you're asked this question a lot, but why should we care about others in Africa? And why shouldn't we just focus on people here?
In my office, it's a great question. In my office, I have a row of cars, and when I was a little kid, a gentleman kind of mentored me, and every week he would bring me another little car, and I have this row of cars in my office to remind myself that throughout my whole life, people have been investing in me, and even in the most difficult circumstances in the United States, there's lots of safety nets, there's lots of networks, there's lots of resources. It might not be enough to meet all the needs, but there's a lot of safety nets. Where we're working is in some of the environments in the world that are some of the most forgotten places on the planet, where there's literally nothing but someone willing to be a champion for a kid, but they don't have the resources, the bandwidth to meet that need and invest and bring a car to a kid, not literally but figuratively, and that's why we're doing that. And we're also saying to people in our organization, don't just make it about kids in Africa. There's kids here, and we're trying to mobilize local people in Africa and learn from them. And we're sharing their stories and showing you what they're doing with your money that you give to us. And you can go out and model that too. Oftentimes the people who say that and ask that question are the people who are also saying, I'm not going to do anything here either. And they're looking for a reason to not belong to something bigger than themselves.
And I mean, let's just say Forgotten Voices was to just work in the United States. It would be very easy to cooperate with the government because we are a democracy. How does Forgotten Voices handle the governments in other countries? Because there's a lot of corruption in Africa. How do you work with the government, or sometimes do you say no to the government? Can you say no to the government?
Yeah, the situation is very challenging in Southern Africa, particularly in Zimbabwe where we're working. But one of the things I've found is that in those corrupt environments or difficult environments, challenging environments like Zimbabwe, often the solution doesn't rest with the government anyway, and so working through local churches, governments often don't suppress their own people through the churches, and so by partnering with churches we can actually facilitate hope. And one of the things that's been really interesting is sometimes I've been kind of verbally corrected by a government official, and why are you here, and we didn't let you be here, but then they'd say, can you come into my house, can you help my family? And so it's like, we don't want you here, but then privately they recognize the value that
So they're being forced to say something publicly.
It's difficult, you know, it's difficult, and I would also say that a lot of people don't realize this, but even here in the United States, the philanthropy privately and the private citizens who are doing things dwarf 4 or 5 times over what our government's doing for people. And so everywhere around us, the private citizens working together to address things are often more effective and more cost efficient than the best government solutions.
Besides the mission statement, what is the ultimate futuristic goal that you or your organization want to see in Africa or around the world?
It's a great question. Here's the answer. Every day, 1,000 children in Zimbabwe and Zambia become orphaned by AIDS. Every day, a mother or father passes away, and those children are often under trees, waiting for someone to find them. They don't know where to go. They're little. And our dream at Forgotten Voices is that kids would no longer be sitting under trees, but would be released to fulfill the things that their parents left for them, the dreams that they had for them. So kids all over the world would have the safety nets that they need, and the dreams that their parents left behind for them would be fulfilled. And in the same way, we meet people all over the world who have affluence and abundance and are looking for something of meaning, that they would find that by investing in people that they might not ever get to meet, but loving them as if they were their own, and that's what we're trying to facilitate, and those are the dreams that we have.
And I totally agree. I think that's a world goal we need, loving people like they were our own family. But I would like to thank you on behalf of the Youth Congress for what your organization does. It's a really great organization, and thank you for taking your time to be here.
Thank you. I'm inspired by your work.
Thank you very much.